what do we mean when we say a full stack tool? So I think the best way to think of it about it is like a restaurant where you have the front part, which is where the food is served, and the back part, the kitchen, where all the hard work is done. So in a web app, which we saw last week, you can basically get away with the front end only, and all the calculations and so on are done within the web page itself. You don't need another layer that is what we call the back end, that is performing the heavy lifting. So that's fine for simple things, but when we get deeper into IT development, then you need both a front end and a back end. And generally speaking, for modern apps, the back end is done using Python, and the front end is HTML or JavaScript. So that's what we saw last week: a simple web app, front end only, and a little bit of a back end. But for the sake of simplicity, let's say that was a front end only app. And today we'll look at how to develop a full stack app, which will have Python as well, doing some more technical stuff. The tool I'm going to be using for doing this is called Cursor. It's my tool of choice at this moment in time. For those that followed the other webinars and the ones I did last year, you'll know that I've said the tool of choice can change week by week because there's a continuous arms race between AI developers, and what model, what system is best at one point is not necessarily the best in the future. The reason I like Cursor as opposed to Claude Code, which is what I was using previously, is that I find Cursor more efficient. Their models, or the default model within Cursor, is less powerful, less intelligent than the Claude Code model. But I guess, as with human intelligence, you don't need highly intelligent people for every task. And indeed, sometimes if you give a highly intelligent person a simple task to do, they can overthink it and make a solution more complicated than it needs to be. And that's what I've found where Cursor is good at compared to Claude Code. Anyway, so I think there's a free version. I'm using the paid for version, but you can download it, and it's a IDE, so that means it's based on what's it called? This app, Visual Studio Code, which is the Microsoft version. Most of them are based on that. So this is Cursor. I'll just open that. But first, we will go to the web app we developed last week. So the tenancy schedule extractor, because what we're going to do, we're going to take what we did last week and build on that to make it a fuller, more useful application. Last week, we just had something that you dropped a PDF tenancy schedule in, and it translated it into an Excel file, basically. So this week, we will look at how to take that and add more features to it and put it into Cursor. So this is the app we developed last week. What you can do, you just go to the Code tab, which gives you the individual files that it has written, and you can go to Export and download it as a zip file. So something else. I've already downloaded that as a zip file in my development projects folder. There we go, Bayfield. So I'd already downloaded that code base, and as you see, here's all the files. So if you look on the right-hand side, this is the interface to chat with the AI. So I'll just go back to the beginning, because it takes a little while to write the code. So I'm not going to completely recreate it. So I started off by just saying review the code base so that you are familiar with its contents. So I exported the file from Google AI Studio folder, in fact, with lots of different files in, and I've now told the cursor agent to explore it and familiarize itself with it. So it's given me various notes. So a Google AI Studio app that parses French commercial real estate tenancy schedules and extracts structured English data using Gemini. That's exactly it. And then it tells me how it all works and so on. And so it gives me various observations. So I ask it, what improvements would you suggest? And it's given me a list of things that can be done to improve it. And it says, if you tell me your goal, I can turn this into concrete implementations. So I've told it, I want a locally run app. I want to extend the app to include a basic DCF that is populated by the tenancy information and some basic additional assumptions. The DCF calculation should be done at the back end in Python. And then it went away, and it maybe took, I'd say, 10 minutes before I had something useful. So that's why I'm not doing a live demonstration. And it's a lot quicker than writing the code yourself, but it's not really appropriate for a 20-minute webinar. So it went through various stages, editing the files that existed already and adding more to it. And then it came back with some instructions as to what you need to do, and we can go through some of those. So it says you need to install npm, which is a program that if you want to run web apps locally, you need to install, but it's pretty simple. If you type npm download, you'll be able to install it. And then it tells us to install using pip the requirements for the package. So I'll just show you how to do that. I just copy, and then I go to the terminal and say new terminal. You can either run this here, or if you go into your Windows and type cmd, you'll get the same thing, but this is just integrated into the app. So I just paste here pip install python requirements.txt. So what it's done, the system has written the code and then given me a file of all the additional programs that need installing. so that its code will run. It's standard Python procedure. So I just click enter, and it will tell me that the packages have already been installed because I did that earlier. Then, so now we're ready to go, and it gives me the line I need to make the program work. So it is just npm run dev, which I will paste there. And it says server installed on port 3001. So I will go into my browser and do localhost 3001. And this brings up the web app, or the front end web app that we had last week, except it's not running in the cloud, it's running on my local machine. So we'll do the same tenancy schedule as we had last week. So there it is. Open it and click on Analyze Schedule, and it is doing it. And if we go back to cursor, it tells us exactly what is happening. So it received extraction requests for file Saint-Germain rent roll PDF, starting extraction using model Gemini 2.5 Flash, and so on. And then hopefully if we go down, it's on 5 of 5. So we'll just give it a few seconds to finish off. Okay, extraction passed successfully. So here we have, this is what we created last week. Here we have the PDF tenancy schedule turned into a web-based file that we can use. Now, it's given me, it's created a new tab called DCF Analysis. So I just click on that, and it's given me some assumptions that I can fill in. So I mean, I don't propose to change these at the moment, but it looks okay, although it tells me that it's built the cash flow in a way I wouldn't necessarily have done given the choice, but then I didn't give it any specific instructions on how to do it. If you give it long, detailed instructions on what you want, then it will do a better job. I was just being lazy from the point of view of this demo. So I just click Run DCF, and there we go. As I said, it's not done it the way I'd have liked. It's just inflated the gross rental value and then taken off vacancy rather than doing it based on lease dates. So we can go back in and tell it to do things differently if we want, but I don't propose to do that now, as this is just an example. Another thing to say, it had flagged up that when we clicked on export to Excel, it was only creating a CSV file, not a full Excel file. So despite it saying that if you tell me what you want, it can integrate these into the fixes, it didn't do that. So I then went in later and said export a proper Excel file, not CSV, and include the DCF in the export. So we'll just go back here and I can click on download Excel. And it has created an Excel file for me, which is split up nicely into tabs. So with my tenancy schedule here, areas here, parkings, DCF assumptions, DCF summary, and here a cash flow. I tend to prefer cash flows to go horizontally rather than vertically, but I didn't tell it to do that, so it made its own choice. But if we wanted to, if we had time to do it, which I don't think we do because we're almost out, then we could go back in and say, for example, make the cash flow, the rental cash flows dependent on lease dates, integrate renewal probabilities, integrate rental growth and indexation, things like this that it hasn't done automatically on the first iteration.